Jenny Sue sober. Getting ready to head out to Terry again after I walk the dogs, but I wanted to try to make a quick video right now. I mentioned ketamine. So I had this evaluation yesterday at a clinic that administers it. I'm very interested in this because of just some my buried traumas that I've been trying to deal with and have been coming up in a lot of ways since I've attempted to stop drinking. And I wanted to just say, like, I'm going to go ahead and do this ketamine. And it's not for like a month, but I would like to really share it with y'all, whoever's watching. And parts of whatever I can share, the progress or the outcome at least, and whatnot. But before I talk more about that, too, I just want to point out this stove. Like, this is all kind of linking in why I want to get the ketamine. This stove is an upgrade from the old stove I used to have. And there's a bit of that old stove in one of these videos. And this stove's an upgrade. It's got a glass door. It's got a blower. And vents, like, it's cool, and it heats the house way better, and it's easier to use. However, it's tiny inside. And the handle's broke, and there's a missing vent tube that when I bought the thing, I didn't notice that it was gone. And I knew it would be smaller than my old one because that old stove was huge, and I have 20 to 25 inch cut lengths of wood. That's how I would gather my wood, in 20-inch lengths, or could go a little more because that stove was so big. And this is max 16. So I am cutting firewood and splitting tiny little pieces to get it, and it doesn't fill up enough to run, more than 4 to 6 hours. Yeah, it's kind of was a poor choice. But it's okay. That's all I've got. But I have shit on myself so many times, just like beat myself up like I made a poor choice. And I do this a lot. Like, this is common. Or just, the house I live in is old and mold and mice and mud, and it's well used. It's got some holes in the floors here and there, and just some stuff. Old windows, but it's a roof and walls and tons of character. And I have amazing space and amazing views. It's affordable. Like, you go up and down. It's like you weigh it out. Okay, be grateful. And I am grateful for all these other things that it has. It just, poor choice. I go, don't I deserve better? Get down on myself. Bought this stove to be better. Try to make this place better. Try to better myself. Trying to always fulfill myself. Talked about that in this last video. It's this part of just like constantly talking shit. Beating myself up about things. Funny little note, like, I just recently was kind of griping about like my choice of living in a place that I feel like my home could be better. I meant to say, look where I live. And I said, I look where I live. It's like, that's a great perspective. There's been some new perspectives from this, like, down on self sort of thing. But the getting down on myself is like rage fits too. Like, hate self, hate life. And I'm just so curious anymore about these rage fits because they're ground in there, and that's just where the failure to self feeling goes. And then we cope. I cope. I get struggle and then cope. But it's this, I'm just so curious about it because I hate it, right? But I know it's linked to something further. It's not just like bad behavior. We all think we all need like anger management or something, and that could be true, but they're linked to something. So this is why I think therapy is so critical. I believe everybody should have a therapist teach their own and their own beliefs, but I think that therapy is almost as important as having a CPA or a lawyer or an acupuncturist or a chiropractor or physical therapist. It's your mental therapist, right? I'm trying to figure out what it's all linked to. So that's where the therapy comes in, but also doing kind of my own research, like online. Huberman Lab, Therapy in a Nutshell, there's a bunch of others. And because I want to question why I get so down on myself about this and it spirals. And then we can use substances to cope. And those may make it worse. And I say may because they may provide a different perspective to then calibrate back to sober train. But to each their own. I know there's some people out there that stop and never go back. And I'm proud of them. That's great. To each their own. Some of us struggle more. I have seen some progress. I'm learning to see these like different parts to myself because I'm curious about the rage fits and I want to learn about that part. And so this is gleaned through therapy and this online research I've been listening to, again, like the Huberman Lab, Dr. Robert Schwartz, the Nutshell Lady. Oh, I'm going to link these. My therapist who, all this is really coming to light, like, listening to it and then feeling it, like discovering parts. And it's not even discovering. I said that because it's just that they're there. You're linking up with them. They're coming to light. They're waking up. Creative part, like it's all been put to sleep, smothered. There's these other parts that are just overworked, like the rage part. Some of the progress, I must say, like dumping that wine out, I think broken like a new path for me, because even though I've slept a lot since I've tried to quit drinking, I do get back to it and I go for a while and I know that's what's right. And I intend to get back to it all the time. Like it's always there. Like, and I want to stay on that path. The struggles of life, just in general, they tend to trigger these raw emotions that these rage fits come from. They trigger them. And it's raw emotions from past trauma exposure and experience are locked away. And I learned this, and it makes so much sense because that's what I feel. Yet, you could learn it, the work still has to be done. So there's these roles, and there's these parts, and there's fragility, and triggered a lot, and then into, we cope with whatever. It becomes like a well-run path. So a habit forms, an addiction, and further trauma and struggles, poor decision-making. I feel like I just have made these poor decisions. And it's almost like whatever it is, it's a poor decision, and get down and beat up and things trigger and then beat up about doing that. And off to the races. So even though there's progress, there's still addictions and slips and rage fits and hates for life. It's not rainbows and butterflies because I stopped drinking. No. There's just stuff there. There's stuff. And so that's why the ketamine is a way to, and I think the simplest way that I could ever explain it is it builds new ruts. It builds new paths in the brain. Wild, and that's why it's been found successful. So there's a whole science to it. I'm not a scientist. I understand it how I understand it, that it builds the new paths, MDMA, glutamate. There's all these words, vocabulary to it, and what it actually does, and what you feel, and what you go through, and what the success is. And I'm not going to explain that. You guys can look it up. But it builds new paths, so you can move away from these old paths. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, it's not a miracle drug. Nope. But you have to do the work. I guess it doesn't work for everybody. Cool shit out there. And they told me I was ripe for it. Ripe for it. I'm going to get to Terry. Well, I was able to drop this new support in. And it is tight. Wonder, hopefully not too tight, but I will be toenailing it into the edge of this and the board under coming up to meet it, and will be nailed to it. And then the panel board sits there on top of that. Getting it tacked in there might be a obstacle, and then insulation on top. And then I can button this down. But I'm first going to do the butyl tape and stuff on the rear that I took apart the other day. Up on the rooftop, here we go. Well, I'm glad that I am knowing I'm just not taking my time dawdling with this, but I am taking my time to learn with this and understand how it's made and how it needs to be put back together, what needs to be repaired. But kind of discovered I had a lot more old butyl tape leftovers on this rear seal. So I'm going to spend some diligent time doing that before really getting to the point of putting it back together. It will be a little more time consuming, and I have the patience of a 3-year-old. Like, I have to learn to like slow the F down, and this project has been a great thing to help restore that character, that part of patience and project and curiosity. And like, this is not gotta get it done to survive. This is so I can go camp. And if it gets done before even the 5-month mark, I had out there if anything was wildly crazy going on. So I'm gonna make sure I am like so far ahead. I'm gonna make sure I just diligently clean, because it is pretty critical to get all that butyl tape. And I'm glad I've got a good light and my headlamp, and I'm gonna scrape. It's great. I'm okay with this process. Get there when I get there, but I guess not be taking the whole 5 months, because I do want to use Terry for the ketamine. Because I have to I don't want to put my light in there here. You have to have somewhere to go and sleep afterwards and not drive. So Terry's going to come in handy for that. So Terry has to get done for that at least in a month. I can always throw a tarp over it, but it has to be something done. It'll be done. It'll be done. Just making sure my butyl tape is lined up with this. Too bad, I guess. I just never got no, you, oh, oh no.